Monsters, creatures, legends. You know them. You slay them. But do you ever get to play them? Sure, defeating a giant in single combat, solving a sphinx's riddle, or even outwitting a devil is a lot of fun. But what if you were the giant, sphinx, or devil? What if you could become the monster? Well, now you can. Continuing the tradition of Year of Monsters, Roll for Combat is proud to present the Year of Legends. Every month, you'll receive a new legendary creature that you can play as a character for either 5e or Pathfinder. Now you too can play as a fallen angel, a stony gargoyle, a brain-eating seraphage, an ocular evil eye, a towering giant, a teeming swarmblood, a moon-blessed were-creature, a tree-like arboreal, a miraculous golemborn, an accursed lamia, an ominous psychopomp, or a riddling sphinx. You can get all this for less than a cup of coffee every month. But don't delay. If you back the Year of Legends Kickstarter now, you'll receive Devils, a bonus 13th ancestry at the start of the new year. These infernal creatures from hell are the perfect complement to January's other ancestry, Angels. If you back the Kickstarter today, you'll receive both Devils and Angels to kick off 2024. Otherwise, you'll have to wait until 2025 for the Devils to appear. So, won't you give monster characters a chance? Back the Year of Legends today.
Did I get it set up? I don't even know. Yeah, I think it's looks right. Jess, look at you. You're glowing.
Hello.
Hello. Do you have Halloween candy in that Halloween thing behind you?
No, that's just like I use it to store a lot of different things. I have like some fidgets in there. I have like tissues. I have spare tips for my Wacom tablet.
Got it. So it's a Jessica Redekop show. Hey, that's right. So that's right. It's her show. We just live in it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So welcome to Roll for Combat, day 83. It feels like where we're gonna go over the fighter. Which, wow, there's a lot of feats on the fighter. Like I put the little picture showing all the feats, and it's tiny. It's like, I'm like, whoa. You know, I've never had. That's not true. I had one person, Vanessa, played a fighter, and that's it. Can you imagine? It's like no one plays fighters. I know it's like the most powerful, supposedly, but no one in my games ever play. So, oh well. Anyhow, with that being said, let's get into the standard stuff. You guys look tired.
I mean, I'm a little tired, but I'm excited about Fighter. We've been doing a lot of streams and we have a lot of other things going on. So I'm burning the candle at both ends a little bit. But you know what? It's the end of the week. I can have some time, hopefully, to recharge over the weekend a little bit for next week with the 5
burning
more
the
streams.
Candle at both ends. Mark, I don't even have a candle left. I got nothing.
That's true.
Left.
I feel like that you couldn't, there wasn't wax to burn it both ends. So you just found a way to light the fire from the other end of the non-candle on fire so that there are just two flames that are kind of like attached and sticking to each other.
I'm the eternal flame, my friend.
That's right.
I just burn by pure will. I was going to ask Jess something, but I cannot remember. Oh, Jess.
Yes.
I saw you dressed up for Halloween and you had 2 trick-or-treaters.
Yeah, there's 2 children that come every year. I believe they are related. They come together with their parents. I think probably they live in the same condo that I live in. And so those are the only children that come every year.
Oh.
I always hope that there will be more children, but it's always only those 2.
Oh, well.
So we had a super chat from Engel Null that said, "Yay, I am finally here to leave a super chat."
Congratulations. You got the super chat in.
You did it.
Good job. Good job, Super Chatty. So, before we get into it, let's go through our standard spiel. The first spiel is, here's the list of everything we've been doing. We got the remaster overview on Monday, which feels like a year ago, but that was with Nonat. And then we did the Bard on Tuesday, and that was with Grady. And then we did the Cleric on Wednesday, and that was with Derek. And then we did the Druid yesterday, and that was with Linda. And we did a lot of side tangents into video games by the end. And then we're doing the Fighter today. But then next week we have Ranger and Rogue, of which we have nobody. So we better find someone quick.
Rogue is very stealthy. It's just whoever the guest is going to sneak on.
That's
and
right.
we're going to figure it out. And then we have Witch with Jess again, and Wizard with Anto, and GM Core Overview with the Rules Lawyer Ronald. That's what we've got coming up. We've got tons of shows.
Tons of stuff. But more importantly, we got way more important, at least in my mind, is we got the Kickstarter for Year of Legends, which is basically Year of Monsters, with more things to play. This time we have Evil Eyes and Brain Suckers and Gargoyles, which totally aren't Goliath, so don't worry about it. And this time we also have animated tokens. And
we can't do Goliath, Stephen, because that's a D&D ancestry or race, right? The Goliath.
Right. Well, I'm talking about the character from Gargoyles. Anyhow,
I know what you're talking about.
I know
Steven.
what you're talking about. These are the animated tokens, and if you pledge during the Kickstarter for $99 or higher, you'll get these tokens for free. But what we did yesterday is that we put out a number. If we had a certain number of backers that backed before the end, that we would add a token. And this time we got it very quickly, and we got the Leshy. So we're going to add a Leshy token. Everyone just gets it who gets animated tokens just for free. So I added a new one. But
that's the Jahali and Leshy tag team token with the grumpy Leshy and Linda's elf character, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But what about Jess? Because I thought that was such a good idea. We got to see what is Jess like or what. Now, Jess is actually writing the Swarm Blood. Mm-hmm. And we have a picture of, I don't know if I can show it. But...
Oh, yeah. Did you see the spider one that was on yesterday's stream, Jess? We can maybe show it.
I'm not sure.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Because Steven sent it. It's so good. And the art came in recently.
It's really, really good.
I'm going to send it to you in Discord.
Yeah.
Is there a swarm that we're not covering that you would want to cover, Jess? That you like?
Or I think she may not...
for an illustration?
Yes.
Sure.
Do you know exactly which ones I made the art order for?
You asking me?
I have some idea. I have some idea. But have you seen the television show The Magicians?
No.
Okay.
I think I may have. It's a generic enough name that I'm not sure. Is that the one with evil Narnia that is
Yeah, so Narnia.
where he was the C.S. Lewis character was molesting kids?
Yeah.
Okay, I definitely saw it then.
Jesus.
Okay, yeah. Do you remember in The Magicians the way that the Beast looked?
Yeah, it was
where he had a swarm of moths that was his face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mentioned this before, but I like that swarm for a face aesthetic a lot.
Okay, so there we go. We have a swarm.
I don't even want that. That's
you don't want
something
that?
fun.
You don't want that in?
No.
Swarm for a face. But
no.
we just did one where the hand turned into a swarm. Why can't we do one where their face was turning into a swarm?
Because faces are a whole other thing.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. We could ask chat whether they want to see moth face as one of the Swarm Blood art pieces.
Not a moth face. No, it's gross. It would have to be something cool and cute. Try again, Jess.
What? Those... Oh, okay.
No one wants to play a moth face. I guarantee that's going to be you're the only person who wants to play that.
I don't know if that's true. It's true.
It's true.
Look, she held back. She could have asked you to illustrate a long Furby.
Oh, that's true.
I'd rather do the Furby.
Oh.
I'd rather do a long Furby.
Oh, the Furby swarm.
Well,
Where you have all of the Furbies inside of you and they erupt out of you and they come like spilling out of your eyes and your nose and your mouth and your ears. And you just like leak Furbies.
what
And
would
when
the
they
Furby
come out
be?
of like your nose holes, because your nose holes are so small, that's what makes them so long.
Rules Lawyer is in chat and says to do a Sephiroth. Or it's maybe Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII, but it could be one of the
Sephiroth is
Sephiroths
from
as an
Final
angel.
Fantasy.
Well, I
an
know that,
angel.
but the Sephiroths are angels, so that may be what he was suggesting. I'm not sure. He just kind of said Sephiroth! Exclamation
People
mark.
want Swarm Face? Fine. I'll meet you
I mean,
halfway.
only a few people did.
I'll meet you halfway.
Okay,
I get
what?
to choose the Swarm Face because I don't like moths, but I will make it a Swarm Face. I am more partial to the Matrix Reloaded at the end where they had the Swarm Face made of all those like tiny little bugs. Do you remember that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
how do you feel about, if you don't like moths, how do you feel about birds?
I like birds. Birds.
Oh, what if the face is a swarm of birds? Like starlings, they always go in those gigantic like swarms. What are they called? Murmurations?
And then you can kind of play on the aesthetic of like the angels with the many wings and the many eyes, where your face is just like there's such a cacophony of feathers all coming out of your face.
Yeah, sure.
That,
I mean,
that
it
are
could be
your
any.
face.
We'll figure out the bird. People are hummingbirds. It'll be like something. I have the rat
Hummingbirds are
swarm
good.
too, and the rat swarm is so cool because it's got a third eye, and every single rat in the swarm has an itty bitty little third eye in front of them.
All right,
That's
so
okay.
we're gonna
That's good.
possibly do, because we have that cool raven swarm person, but she's like wearing armor, and the ravens are like coming out from under the armor.
Yeah,
so we can do one that is not in armor and has birds for a face. Oh, some people suggested hummingbirds.
Hummingbird. Actually
Rico, I remember that Spirit Island spirit that's just a flock of birds that vaguely looks like a face. That's the one that like can't harm anything, but it keeps thresholds and changes adjacency. It's very weird. So yeah, we'll do a bird face. This one is not only going to be an animated token, but Stephen, I assume since it's literally actually an ancestry from Year of Legends this time, instead of being a Leshy that's not in Year of Legends, that you would add it as art as well to the book, right?
Yes.
So this is an even bigger deal than yesterday's. What is the requirements during this stream in order to unlock for everybody?
Well, we're at 1,000 backers now, so 2,000.
We're at 1,003.
No, I know.
We're at 1,003, Stephen.
Trying to think what would be reasonable. I don't know. Reasonable. I think. How many people are watching? I'll go back.
How many people are watching right now? 98.
Oh, that's pretty low, actually. We should get a couple 200. I'll say if we get 10-10. 10-10 wins. 10-10 backers. We will get new swarm face.
Rules Lawyer pointed out many minds as one was the swarm face, and Pathfinder Paths Unseen was adjacency. I think I got messed up by someone talking about a hummingbird at the same time as they're talking about swarms. And I think the Finder of Paths Unseen was a hummingbird.
Okay. Here, this is there you go. If we get 7 more pledgers during the stream, I'll make a swarm face, new token and animated token as well. And
all right,
so
there we have it.
That's it.
That's not even that many people, and everybody's gonna get it. So
everyone will get it. So there you go.
All right. So we've got that figured out for what our stream incentive is going to be. Now, Stephen, is it also true that if people back during the stream, while it is alive, not while they're watching it later, and they back for $99 or more, that they're going to get all the animated tokens for free, like in the previous streams? Yep. Awesome.
Everyone will get animated tokens during the stream. And I know some people are watching this off time. Just message me for those cases, because some people are like overseas, and this is like they're sleeping now because I had someone from Australia. But I'll take care of you because and some of these people are regulars, so I'll make sure that you get your animated tokens. So don't worry about it. I'm being pretty generous with these animated tokens because I'm working hard on them, and I want everyone to use them. I mean, look at these things. Look at the dog. And I wrote him. I'm going to get the dog as its own token, and then the angel letter as their own token. So you can always have the dog as a separate token. So I'll have new tokens by next week, by the way.
So before we start the fighter, we have one other incentive thing that we usually figure out at the beginning of the episode, which is like, what will we do if we get 100 likes?
Well, Jessica has to sing something from Les Mis.
Oh, I don't sing.
You're not going to get it, Stephen.
Doesn't matter. All right, then we need you to do something, Jess. What do you do?
I mean, I appear on this show, my show, Roll for Combat. What is my guest, Stephen Glipper, going to do?
I don't do anything. I'm in charge of the... I'm the producer. The producer is too busy.
You can't sing, Les Mis. Stephen, you could sing. No, Can You Hear the People Sing?
Maybe.
Didn't you try it before?
Fine, I'll try to do... I'll sing...
if you need it, I can sing Les Mis.
No, I can actually do the...
Okay,
I'm actually pretty good at deep voices. I'll tell you a secret. I
can do pantomime. That's true.
I can actually sing. My kids sing, and they're like they're literally my daughter's sang at Carnegie Hall 4 times. So
I remember because the last time people made you sing, you pointed that out, that you should have gotten your kids to do it.
Yeah, like we could actually sing quite well. So if I try, I could actually sing a little bit. If I practiced, I could sing.
Apparently, we're supposed to do a duet.
No way. I get Derek on here. He's pretty good. So I'll do Hear the People Sing. I can do that one. Anything deep I can do. We need we got 45 likes. Well, we'll see. I said 200 likes. 200, got it. Anyhow,
no, you said 100. There's not even 200 people watching.
Questions answered today. Super chats are always answered first. Here's the fighter. Wow.
Let's go.
That's a lot of feats. Have fun.
It's a lot of feats. So just like in our previous episodes, I'm going to go through and list the changes in the fighter. And as we go through each one, we have time this time, unlike with the cleric. So all of us, but probably mostly Jess and I will discuss these changes and the implications and the cool parts about it. So I have started with the class features and then gone through feats from low level to high level, basically as they appear in the book. So starting off with the class features, which you can see in the class feature table. Now, first I want to make sure, am I muted when the class features and feats have appeared? Because I have been in the past.
What?
I'm just going to assume no, because no one was like, Mark is muted.
I fixed all that.
Okay. The first change, which we know about from before, is that Attack of Opportunity was changed to be called Reactive Strike for the OGL. Juggernaut was changed to be named Battle Hardened, which might mean that my theory that all of the resolves and only the resolves were changed for non-OGL reasons because of being similar to Starfinder's resolve, maybe not, because Juggernaut is not resolve and it isn't an OGL name, and it was changed to Battle Hardened, which is a cool name. Evasion OGL name was changed to Tempered Reflexes, and those are the only changes that were made to the chassis. Is name changes. Everything in the chassis is exactly the same other than name changes. For the feats, the major change is that the open trait is gone. All feats that had it no longer have it. There's no replacement for it. Then there are some minor changes to the feats, many of which are renames. Power Attack was renamed for OGL reasons to Vicious Swing. Which
there's also sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say there's also some of the fighter feats from APG are also included in Player Core. For example, first level combat assessment was an APG feat. It's unchanged, but it's here in Player Core, so you won't have to look in Player Core 2 for it.
In fact, all of the APG fighter feats are in Player Core, and in general, I will be making a note if any feat that was in core rulebook or APG is not in player core, because I'm going to assume the default is that player core is a combination of the core rulebook and the APG in terms of the class sections. That's the sort of starting point, and anything else is, I consider a change. So I think one of the 3 classes, I can't remember which one, dropped one of the feats that was not an OGL name, and so I called it out. I can't even remember which one that is though right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Vicious Swing as the name. I like Vicious is just a cooler adjective than power. I guess you don't always swing your weapons, but you have to do things like that when you're naming some of these feats. We'll see it with Blade Break soon enough. You don't always have a blade, but that's a cool name for the feat. So the next change is that one that I actually missed when I went through, but Jess found, so I added it to my list, which is that the action bug from aggressive block was clearly in a mistake, changed from a free action to a reaction, which makes it now non-functional until at least level 8, except for that it's clearly a mistake. So I think everybody knows that it's
there's
reaction.
It triggers off of you using a different reaction. So like it makes sense to me why someone would look at it and think like, oh, that's used as part of a reaction. Like the thought process that leads to this mistake happening makes total sense to me, but there's absolutely no reason to run it this way. And I mean, it seems like something that will obviously get errated very quickly. And that's
definitely. The next change in level 2 is a new feat was added called Blade Break. It's a reaction when you're going to be force moved and you have a melee weapon and are within reach of a hard surface. Like sort of story-wise, thematically, it kind of feels like it's probably meant to be like a slashing or piercing weapon or something, because you like stick your weapon into the floor or the wall to anchor yourself in place. It prevents all movement less than 20 feet and turns anything 20 feet or more into just 5 feet of movement. And like, I'm not sure what you're doing with a club to make this happen, just sort of story-wise, but story-wise for a sword, it's cool and it's really evocative. It's just like, nah! And you put your sword down into the ground. So that's a new feat at level 2. I think that those are the only 2 changes. The name change and the new feat are the only 2 changes at levels 1 and 2. Did you find anything else while you were going through it, Jess? Because you said you looked at 1 and 2.
Yeah. I didn't have time to go through all of level 2.
Okay.
I compared everything in level 1, like back and forth, but level 2, I really just got that the one aggressive block accidentally being a reaction.
All right. So the next change that I found is that oh wait, maybe this is also in level 2. Never mind. I looked at something, I was like, this isn't in level 2, and it's because the change was that it was removed from level 2. There are other changes in level 2. So Dragging Strike was removed and or replaced with Sleek Reposition. It's unclear whether it was considered a replacement or not. So the one that lets you drag something towards you, it's not exactly the same, and Sleek Reposition can't do all the same things that Dragon Strike did, because you could like back up and bring them with you. But instead of any weapon sort of dragging something towards you, now a finesse weapon or polearm can, for one action as a press, make us melee strike and give the benefits of reposition. So it's more or less exactly the same thing as Brutish Shove, except for with different weapon requirements, and it does reposition instead of shove.
We have Christopher G asking in chat about the aggressive block and what happened, saying like maybe if aggressive block is a replacement for shield block. No, it's just like a typo in the book. Aggressive block still has the activation trigger of using shield block as a reaction. It's clearly just a typo. It accidentally has the wrong action symbol. It's listed in the book with the reaction action symbol. It should be the free action symbol. It's unusable the way that it is listed because it's clearly a typo.
Yep, that's correct. And it's clearly a typo. So there are more things. So I missed that the next section was all still about level 2 because I didn't put like a 4th in it. The next thing is another new level 2 feat, Lightning Swap. a level 2 1-action flourish that stows any number of items from your hand, then draws up to 2 weapons or a shield and a weapon. So it lets you quickly swap out your loadout to a different loadout. For the right fighter, that can be very useful.
Yeah, I like that a lot, especially with the new swap action, being able to very quickly completely change what you have out. That's excellent for a fighter.
I would say, arguably, it would have been even more powerful by far without the new swap action. Because then nobody else would be able to... With the new swap action, a lot of the time you can do what you need to do just with the swap action. But if you're a 2-weapon fighter, especially...
Or if you have a shield.
Yes, or if you have a shield and it's not in both of the loadouts you want. Like, for instance, switching from shield and sword to like shield and sword to shield and like some other weapon because it's a club and you want to fight a skeleton, you don't want to have to use the shield bash, is the same amount of time. But switching from shield to sword to a bow, now you can do that faster.
Exactly.
Wow, you totally blew us out there when you said bow. You went,
Oh! Bow. Sorry, bow. So I think that
we're very excited.
Yes, that is actually the end of level 2 changes. They had several new feats. Level 2 is actually one of the levels with some of the most like substantive changes because of the 2 new feats added.
By the way, Ronald's going to be here next week. He's he used to be on the stream all the time, or at least in the audience.
Like you changed the day that the stream was on, I think. That probably makes it harder for him to come.
I haven't seen
when
him
we
in
were
a
on Tuesdays,
time.
he came a lot of the time, but I don't think
he's off
Wednesdays
today.
is easy.
Let us know if you have any questions, Ronald.
D-Meep in chat pointed out that anything can be sharp enough to stick it to the ground if you just push hard enough. That should be a feat, just like piercing with anything by just pushing.
That's the name of the
I feel
feat.
like push harder as a feat would sound like it was not the right thing. Probably not.
Well, you gotta have a little innuendo.
So, Knockdown has changed its name to Slam Down, likely so that it does not share a name with the creature ability that is also called Knockdown and does not do the same thing, even though it's not OGL. After that, Powerful Shove was changed so that it adds its damage to knockback critical specialization effects instead of just to shove. It no longer specifies that the damage applies to all shoves and not just the shove from Powerful Shove. But that text was not really necessary to make it apply to all shoves. It was mostly reminder text that was removed. So the next thing change is going to begin a series of changes that does not change the wording, but changes how it's organized in a way that confuses me. And we will see that it gets more confusing for both of the other 2 feats that do this. But the reflexive shield feat, half of its benefits, the part about the shield block reaction, has been moved to a special clause. Now, a lot of, or at least 2 out of 3 of them, I think, that were moved to a special clause involved you using a like a different reaction or feat with them in some way. However, I feel like the ability to use the shield block on reflexive shield is kind of part of the main benefits of reflexive shield. I don't think this is a problem or a benefit either way for this one, but in the next 2 that we're going to see, I feel like it adds an unnecessary ambiguity that it could cause rules arguments with very cheese-weaselly players. Not here, but the next ones we're going to see are stances, and that's where it gets tricky. So Felling Strike unitalicized the word levitate because that is no longer the name of a spell since it was an OGL spell name. So now it still uses the word levitate because it is a word that they can't levitate anymore, but it doesn't italicize it. So next is Mobile Shot Stance, which, like Felling Strike, is at level 8. This also got a special clause added. So now that I'm looking at them back to back, it's definitely the special clause was added when it was related to some other feat or action in any way. But the issue here is that special clauses generally are meant to be a breakout from a feat. So if you have like an action feat that's like, let's say Vicious Swing, with like 2 actions and then it did its damage, and then it had a special. You deal special just was like you gain a +1 bonus on fortitude saves if you have if you're at least a master at fortitude saves. Like that would not be in the action. That would just be permanent. It would have to say when you make a vicious swing, normally you gain a +1 to fortitude saves until your next turn, if it was in the special clause. Here, the special clause was clearly meant to be part of the stance. I think it was clearly meant to be part of the stance, and the next time we see it, it definitely will be because it was modifying something that was in the stance, but it doesn't say while in this stance you gain the ability to use loaded ranged weapons for reactive strikes. It's just in a special clause at the end. I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
Oh, okay. I see. So most stances have the specific wording of while you're in this stance in them that list the stuff that you can do only while you're in the stance, because a stance doesn't do anything for you if you're not entering the stance.
Right.
And so the issue that you're raising is that the text in the special section doesn't call out that you must be in the stance.
And because there's a giant line in between the two of them and a new section has opened, while it's clear in context, especially when we see the next one where it is a modification of something that should only apply in the stance, that it should be in the stance, a very rules lawyery player who is trying to be like, well, the rules as intended, I don't care about. I only care about what's written. Would be like, why does the while in this stance have to scope to this thing that's in the special clause? It's not in the action or the stance itself.
Right. But because the stances are feats that have like the action symbol in the name of the feat, it's not that the feat is granting you an action that is explained later in the feat. It seems difficult to me to claim that you wouldn't need to use the stance to use what the special clause is referring to. Like you said, both of the cases where we've seen text moved into the special clause is to call out reactions between multiple feats. And so this is calling out the interaction between mobile shot stance and reactive strike, saying that like mobile shot stance does this stuff, but if you also have this other feat, it's not a prerequisite. So this isn't a feat chain, but you still get additional benefits if you are combining these two feats together. And so it seems like it would be a stretch to claim that you would get the benefits listed in the special section without needing to use an action to enter the stance.
I'm pretty sure that there are multiple instances of the special section to an action-based feat giving you something that is not gained during the action. In this case, I would say if I was your GM, there's no way I'm letting you get those benefits. I would clearly not allow it. And the next one that we're going to see, where it's just a more powerful version of the basic stance ability, it's just even more ludicrous to try to claim that you could get the more powerful version of it outside of the stance. But just some of the ways special clauses have been used before as not being part of the action. Like I was mentioning before, if you had a feat that was an action and it's just like kind of special, that was like, if you have both this feat and the juggernaut ability or whatever the new name for that is now, then you gain a +1 circumstance bonus on your fortitude saves. And then that wasn't part of the action. Like the special section is where that would have been in some cases. So like if you need to put something that's in the feat that isn't part of the main feat. So it gets a little bit more confusing, but I don't think, I guess we don't need to spend that much more time on it though, because it didn't actually change other than the organization style. So next, positioning assault. Well, it was reworded to use reposition instead of doing exactly the same thing, but without reposition, which made it shorter. Combat reflexes, OGL name removed and changed to tactical reflexes. Improved knockdown, because of the previous knockdown being changed, is also changed to crashing slam. Disarming twist had a change that I think probably is going to lead to an FAQ or minor clarification on it. It adds a +1 circumstance bonus to all attack rolls and disarming stance. So due to this, I think it's meant to only work against foes that actually have a weapon to disarm, and not to be used as a build with Agile Grace to like fight with an agile weapon and be like, oh yeah, I know you're a cave worm, you don't have a weapon to disarm, but I'm just gonna keep using disarming twist on you so I can get a +1 circumstance bonus on my follow-up attacks. I'm sure that that's what was meant to do, because like if they have a weapon, that +1 also makes it more likely to disarm them. New feat was added, Flinging Charge. Was added at level 10. It's basically a sudden charge, except for that you throw a weapon during the charge instead of attacking with in melee at the end of it, and they get off guard against your melee attacks if you do another melee attack before the end of this turn. So it's pretty cool. Like if you have two weapons out and you throw one of them as you charge in, and then you smack them with the other one, possibly using a one-handed press because you have a hand free now.
Yeah, that's very cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it opens up some combinations. So Spring Attack, for OGL reasons, was renamed to Dashing Strike. So here's a fun one. This is just like on me, really, because Flinging Shove was not changed. But while I was doing my, sorry, is it called Flinging Shove?
Yeah, Flinging Shove.
Flinging Shove, yeah. So sorry, I had two flingings in a row, and then I was worried that I was doing it wrong. It was not changed, but I realized while doing this deep dive where I was rating every single word and comparing them, that its first benefit doesn't actually make any sense. And that was on me from when I did the pass on this, looking at it for the original core rulebook. Because it says on a success that aggressive block pushes them 10 feet and 20 feet on a critical success, but nobody rolled anything on aggressive block. It's not a success or a critical success. Oops, sorry, everybody. That's not anything to do with the remaster. That's just a fighter erratum that I accidentally found while doing this. So that's in here.
What, you broke something?
Yeah, well, I mean,
a long time ago.
I didn't see it when I went through a long time ago, and yeah, there are multiple people who saw it, but like I take responsibility. I should have seen it too. All right, so improved dueling riposte now lets you riposte an infinite number of times, assuming you have the reactions to do so.
It's just forever. So you just like
assuming you have the reactions, you can do it in infinite. You can do it an infinite number of times without being in the stance, whereas previously only the bonus reaction that you gained from the feat could be taken outside of the stance.
I don't know, that's kind of
if you want to have an infinite number of reactions, you will need to be fighting an infinite number of opponents and using the 20th level feat Boundless Reprisal. Now, I don't recommend making an infinite number of enemies, Stephen, but if you do, then you could make it it'd be like, well, if they all infinitely critically fail me, I can do it outside of my stance with improved dueling riposte.
I'm doing a fight right now, and there's 100 people in the initiative.
Wow. Well, then, if in that case, if they had Boundless Reprisals and had not had enough time to get into their stance yet, and a lot of them critically failed, you would have gotten a lot of improved dueling riposte. Now, improved twin riposte was changed to exactly the same small change. So lunging strike, also in another, maybe Mark should have seen this in the core rulebook, had no change at all, but near the end it says that the range of the melee strike is increased by 5 feet, but melee strikes have reach instead of a range, and it's obvious what that's supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah. Determination lost the clause at the end, preventing you from removing conditions from like gods and other like super high level beings. So I guess for Rasma, if you want to do a nasty thing to a fighter now, you better bring in affliction, because those determination can't remove the underlying affliction. But if you just are like, I'm gonna give you my major curse that you're permanently drained for, whatever Pharasma's major curse is, and it's technically not an affliction, I believe you can remove it with determination. There may be a rule in deities' major curses that say that they can't be removed by anything. I'd have to look. It does say it automatically works.
I think if that's the angle that they're taking with it, I think it makes more sense for there to be like, if they want things that deities do to not be able to be removed by abilities like this, I think it makes more sense to create a trait that goes on all of the abilities that can't be removed by stuff like this, rather than put clauses about not affecting things from deities on every ability that removes something, but not from deities, right?
Yeah, deities and artifacts and things like that often have an escape clause. And I do agree that it's better designed to just put in artifacts and deity curses and things like that. The thing to be like, or it is at least more future proof to put it in artifacts, and the curse thing to be like, everything that says it automatically ignores this does not ignore it. It is a little harder to adjudicate design wise. So I guess I wouldn't say it's universally better designed, but it's way more future proof because you're going to miss abilities that should have had that in there. If you have to put it every time, and putting it in one place is way future proofed. Yeah, absolutely. So guiding riposte was also reworded to just use reposition now. It's exactly the same thing, but it uses reposition instead of using bespoke wording. The stance savant feat was changed to be opening stance, probably because of the fact that savant often being used with autism. Speaking of stances, the Master of Many Styles feat, the fighter found the monk in a dark alley, kind of beat it up, and took the Master of Many Styles feat. And brought it in. It is exactly the Master of Many Styles feat from the monk. Now it is in fighter. It's probably in monk too. Like, I'm not saying that monk lost it. We'll see when monk comes out in player court too. But fighter,
it makes sense for it to be on the fighter, though. Fighter has ended up growing in a way where there are a lot of fighter stances.
It started with them in Core Rulebook even.
But I think it makes sense for fighter to be able to do that.
Me too. So last one is multi-shot stance. We don't have to really discuss it very much because this is the third one that brings into a special clause part of its effect. And it's the one that makes it so, like, if your player saw the second one, I think that the second one, whichever one that was, had like the most wiggle room for them to be like, well, maybe I can make my reactive strikes with my bow outside of the stance. There's just no way that you would get a -1 reduction for double shot in the stance and get a -2 reduction for triple shot out of the stance. But that has been moved to special. If you're wondering why is that even in special, triple shot is already a prerequisite. That is because now only double shot is a prerequisite. It has been changed to have fewer prerequisites. And then if you have triple shot in a special clause, it says the penalty is -2. And that's the last change to fighter. So if you're like, wait, but that's just a 16th level feat. Yeah, all the 18th and 20th are exactly the same as they were. Like, fighter is pretty much where it was at. I mentioned at the beginning of the classes that generally bard, cleric, and fighter are three of the classes that are considered to be like pretty strong or pretty powerful. But, you know, cleric had elements of it that people thought were weak, even though the class is ridiculously strong. But some of the, you know, domain spells aren't like necessarily that strong. And war priest is not going to outdo marshals at fighting with them in martial ways. But like bard and fighter mostly like didn't really have power issues that people were talking about. And unsurprisingly, bard and fighter are the ones that we've seen with fewer changes, because a lot of the changes other than OGL names seem to be like power balance errata to try to boost up certain elements.
Yeah, it's easier to make a fighter that switches between like weapon loadouts that are very different from each other now, which is wonderful.
I love it. I really like the ability to switch out. I mentioned yesterday, I think, or one of these days, that I would love it if like we found a way to abstract, like, I know the word stance is used for stances is like the stance feats, but like the idea of a stance where it's like you're using a two-handed weapon or two single weapons or a weapon and shield or a weapon with an empty hand. This is your fighting style. And then you spend an action and switch fighting styles, and you can always pull out everything you need for it. But also, you can't be using more than one of these fighting styles. Like, understand, even if your character has 50 tentacles or whatever, you're not going to be using a two-handed weapon and a shield, because two-handed is a fighting style with listed benefits. And weapon and shield is a different fighting style, and you won't be using both.
Yeah,
that would
I mean, there are certainly existing stances that suggest certain weapons. Like you wouldn't use the stances for ranged combat without a bow, and so
that'd be a little silly.
it feels to me like an area where you could have a feat that builds off of the feat for like Master of Many Styles and the quick swap feat that lets you change your equipment every time you change stances.
You could. I mean, that could be fun.
Yeah. That seems like a feat that could be added to the class. Like,
I definitely see that as an option, and I feel like you need enough feats to get that running that it seems fun and good. It doesn't do exactly the thing that I like the most, which is just, but you have to be willing to abstract away. And that's something that is harder to move towards when you have a very granular RPG like PF2. You have to be willing to abstract away and be like, whatever my character looks like, I'm in one of these fighting styles. There's not some weird way I'm going to be able to shoehorn in that I am in more than one of these fighting styles at the same time. And then being able to swap as one action would be cool. And I love the idea that you have for the feat, though, of just like anytime you shift your stance, you shift your weapons. It would probably require lightning swap and at least one stance feat.
Yeah.
Or like a lightning swap and at least one stance feat, and just be like, the feat is anytime you enter a stance, you use lightning swap. And yes, it uses your flourish, so you do need to have your flourish available for it. It does have some cost to it.
Yeah, I like that.
I love it. That's a great idea, Jess. This is why we have Jess writing for us.
I mean, this is why Mark does development. We just did like the full life cycle of creating content on stream.
That's fair, yeah, because you had the idea, and then I did like a design path, and we developed it together, and there we have it.
Yeah.
So while we're talking, I have a Evil Eye fighter that just came in.
Oh, I didn't even see the final Evil Eye fighter. I want to see it.
You guys want to see
I'm writing Evil Eyes. It's one of the only ones I'm actually writing for this year, so I want to see my art.
You want to see your art? You want to see Evil Eye fighter?
Oh, also, Derek can probably do Ranger on Monday. Warning to viewers.
Oh, there we go. Warning to viewers.
Warning to viewers is that Derek liked the Cleric changes, but not the Ranger changes. In fact, you can already see an entire stream of Derek talking about the Ranger, because he already did a stream on the Ranger.
If you want to see this, whoops, that's the.
And then people said Critical Derek is back, and Derek is like, it can't not rain every day.
There we go. That is the Evil Eye fighter.
Yeah, I want to see it. Let's see. Oh, there it is. I actually have seen.
Well, it's from the cover.
It's the one on the cover,
but we updated it.
Okay,
we
it's close enough to something that I've already seen that I feel like I've seen.
But we fine-tuned it quite a bit. If you look at it,
it is cooler looking. Now
it's
that
like
I look
look
at
its
the details
face now. Yes. So if you want to play that, and you see they're not floating. He's standing on his little legs there.
Yeah, he's got his little tendril legs, and he's holding on with his little tendril arms onto his weapon. He is an Evil Eye fighter.
Yeah, it might be a barbarian. It
could be a barbarian. Actually, I can check the art order, but it says what it is.
Yeah, you can be that now. So we'll say it's a fighter.
It's a barbarian.
It's a fighter for now, and then we'll officially change it later to barbarian. But if you want to play that and have an animated token of that thing, because Lord knows,
look how angry it is.
I know, he's so angry. Give him a little drool dripping out of his mouth, so it would look when he goes into a rage.
Yeah, well,
like,
and I made the eye as being like red. Yeah, that's right. I was going for a bright red eye and the reddish brown of dried blood of the body.
2 more people
for the barbarian.
Yeah, that came in just while we were talking. But they're coming in fast and furious. The art.
Mm-hmm. Oh well, yeah, you're right. We literally only need 2 people to go.
2 more people, and then we get added. We get Swarm Face.
Swarm Face.
Swarm Face. I don't know what Swarm Face will be, but Swarm Face.
I mean, come on, everyone. Don't you want Steven to have to make Swarm Face after he specifically didn't want to do it?
Well, I didn't
It's
want
funny.
Moth Face. I wanted Swarm Face.
I don't see why not.
Because no one likes moths.
What are you talking
Moths
about? A
are
lot of people like
wonderful.
No,
moths.
they don't. I like
Eleanor
moth
likes
raw.
moths.
Moths are terrible.
Eleanor likes moths.
What?
Ugh. Well,
What about Mothra, Steven?
I
That's a
just said
classic
Mothra.
monster. Yeah.
Mothra's cute.
What about Venomoth, the Pokemon?
I know we have.
Yeah.
Well, I know we have our own moths. Moths are cute,
All right.
really? Maybe I'm the minority of this. I don't know. A swarm of
I
moths
mean,
just looks kind
the
of
ones
gross.
that eat your clothes, when they eat your clothes, it can be an issue. But like just looking at them, they're
Moths
kind
are
of cool.
cute?
People in chat are saying they
Alright,
like
we'll
them.
put it to a vote.
And no, yeah,
They're
do
like-
a vote. Do a vote about moths to say that. Do you like moths? Yes, no. Like, don't put
Yeah.
weird things in the options so that it is or yes, no, or neutral or something like that. Maybe
Yeah, they have like fluffy little ruffs.
don't do your
They're
usual thing
wonderful
where
and cute.
One of them is like they're
You
my
could do
favorite
a
animal
poll.
ever, and the
You're an
other one
admin.
is.
You do the poll then. You're an
Oh,
admin.
okay. How do I do it?
Oh well, you figure it out, and you can
All
get
right,
it
I
done.
see how to pop out chat.
You got to figure out how to
and
do that.
timestamps and send feedback, but I don't actually see
Yeah, we'll see how smart Mark is.
how to do the poll.
See how technical he is. Jess, what do you think of the fighter changes while Mark struggles
Are you
with
sure I'm an
technology?
admin and not just a moderator?
You might be a moderator. Well, then send me the actual poll, and I'll put it in. And you could have no more than 4 choices. Oh, we only need one more backer, and then we
You
get.
you only need like 3 choices. Do you like moths?
Do you like moths?
Yes, no.
Yes,
I have
no,
no opinion
And
about
I have no opinion on moths. Yes,
Oh, okay, here we go.
that's it.
I'm
That's
gonna
literally
say-
it.
No, so it will be start poll.
Okay, there we go.
Do you?
I was Googling how to do a poll.
moths? Yes. No, and then I'll add option. And
Yeah,
the last
yeah.
one should be, what should the last one be?
I have no opinion.
about moths.
I have no opinion. But
Cooperative Waffles thinks
but they
Evil
are
Eyes.
terrible. There we go. Hey, I got that in there.
Cooperative Waffle says Evil Eye should have dark purple shadow. I think there's an Evil Eye witch who's got like a violet
Well,
body.
the one above us
and-
is the witch.
Yeah, the darker purple bat wings and lavender
That is the
eye or
witch.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the witch.
Which is right between
All right,
us.
well, I voted in the poll to say that yes, I like moths.
Okay, we actually have legitimately had like 40 votes, and like, I am surprised by how many people
60% is
picked.
not enough. It's got to be higher than 60.
I'm surprised that it was over 60% that liked them. I thought a decent number of people would have no opinion. So this poll was not the result that I expected.
Warm worms. Not worm face. I'll have no problem with that.
Worm face. There you
Worm
go.
face. Well, that's the worm that walks.
Well, what
yeah,
if?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, overall, I like the remaster fighter. There's not a lot of
Yeah.
changes. The changes that were intentional changes and not just like typos seem good. I like the how quickly you can swap your gear. That's wonderful, and it comes at a nice low level 1, so that you can be good at that right away. I like that a lot.
Yeah. These are great. I think all the new stuff is really good. There really almost aren't very many mechanical changes that were made.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think assuming that the appropriate abilities have been given an exclusion clause that they can't be determination out of, so that you don't have the like, I ended the sum with Ironheart Surge from 3.5 book of 9 Swords, then that's the only one I wasn't sure about. And the thing that I actually think could cause a little bit of table strife with an obnoxious enough player is just really the one time I say it, because everyone always calls things that are completely design related. They'll be like, this is an editing question. It's like, it's not. The Paizo editors didn't do this. Please don't even talk about editing. The only thing I question is really an editing choice. And I don't think it's a problem. I just would put it in a different way to avoid a potential from an obnoxious player trying to claim the benefits. And
I
whatever.
don't know.
That's nothing. That's nothing.
Yeah. I understand the choice to have everything that is like the way that a feat interacts with another feat that you might or might not have. Wanting all of that stuff to be in the special clause. I get that
So
choice.
Mark,
I'd be okay with it if it said while in the stance in the special clause just to lock it up, right?
Right.
And the one that's not a stance, that's just totally fine either way for me.
Yeah.
I have a
so we're up to 69%
question.
like moths, and 14% have no opinion on moths.
By the way, there's no shipping for this
Kickstarter. I was also typing no shipping at the same time because someone was like, the shipping is too high.
There is no shipping.
There is no shipping.
It's all digital.
You're good. It's digital. You won't have to
zero,
pay.
So don't worry about it.
If you're wondering why the page mentioned the shipping, it's because you're required to do that for Kickstarter. Even if you don't have anything to ship.
Yeah, there's no shipping. Shipping is zero. So if zero is too high, I'm sorry, I can't go any lower. That's zero.
So it's 68, Stephen. That's more than 2/3 who liked moths.
Okay, maybe I'll reconsider Moth Face.
Okay.
Well, we don't have enough backers, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you're right.
Anyhow, only 17% of people who don't like moths. There's almost an equal number of people don't like moths as have no opinion about moths.
Yeah, it's really wild.
Weird.
And we know Steven is one of those 17%. So it would be around 15% if Steven hadn't clicked no.
Fine.
That's okay though, because I also voted.
I did too, so it's fine. And we're 2/3, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like we are actually the average of the poll.
We're representative.
Yes, we're a representative sample of Roll for Combat Live's Remaster Fighter stream about who likes mods. So, Aaron, how wonders would you ever consider jellyfish ancestry? Aaron, I have amazing news for you, which is that the aquatic swarm heritage for Jess's ancestry, if we unlock it and get it in or what have you, is not limited to piranhas, even though Stephen did mention that it could turn its arms into piranhas in the art. But it should involve multiple possible aquatic creatures. So an aquatic jellyfish swarm being part of them is in the table already.
Yes.
And if you want to play literally coral, we do have that in as well.
Do you want to see the rat swarm?
Have you seen the rat swarm?
Moths? I'm not sure. Maybe, but you think moths are gross. But here you are, like, oh, have you seen the rat swarm?
Look how cute that is. Look.
I'm not saying rats aren't cute. I'm just saying, like,
look at every little
you're
rat.
enthusiastic about the rats.
The spell, all the rats cast the spell because it's a swarm.
That's very cute.
You see? Can you imagine, like if you cast magic missile, like all the missiles come from all the swarm of rats. They all put up their little paws, and then it all comes out and merges into one missile and goes out to everyone.
The thing that's even better about that is that it has a connection to our common mind Aldemon, Mies. Mies is our common mind Aldemon, and it is a psychic rat or mouse.
And look at it. Like every rat
that's
has
why I ordered that art. It's connected to the mind Aldemon.
Every rat casts the spell at the same time. So,
that's right.
So it could be rat versus moth. So that face, by the way, on the swarms, that face, that they wear the skin like a suit. So that's not really.
Yeah, more or less. The swarm is inside like blood. That's why it's called swarm blood. Their internals just have a bunch of swarms in there. Yeah, so think about what kind of feats that you think that ancestry would be able to get, because Jess is writing those feats, and it's going to be fun.
It will be fun. Oh, we still only need one more. So I actually have a very serious question, Mark. While we're waiting for one more backer.
Sure. Can we show them a picture of Mies so that they can see if they think it looks similar to this?
Sure.
I have a sketch of it, but I don't know if I know where the final is.
I can find it. The question
I'll send you the sketch anyway.
While I look at this, find the Mies picture. So everyone is now complaining that Fighter is too strong. I hear it a lot.
Wait, they're playing it now? Like they're like
they always were.
Thanks to the remaster
no,
one?
No,
That's
no,
just
no,
like some people say it all the
complain.
time. Like it.
I said they're always.
If you
complaining.
wanted to talk about this, you should have done it on Monday when we had No Nut. I think that's one of his
I'm not
things.
Done. Well, I'm still not done. I'm going backwards in time. So everyone is complaining that the fighter is so strong in Pathfinder. And was that on purpose? Because how many times have I heard that fighters are weak and that they don't hold a candle to spellcasters? And it's like, it sort of becomes a mantra, like, oh, fighters are weak, fighters are weak, fighters are weak, or fighters can't do as much. And now we're like, oh my God, the fighter is so strong. And I only played with a fighter once, and that was Vanessa. But oh my God, was that fighter strong? I'd
like to parse out your question.
Okay.
Because you first talked about people saying fighters were strong, then you talked about fighters being weak compared to spellcasters of previous editions. Do you mean martial characters in general?
In general.
Or the fighter class, specifically the fighter class, the class named fighter? Well, in your question, which one are you asking about? Because they're separate.
The fighter class.
Separate topics.
The fighter class itself.
The fighter class.
And people
also, to be fair,
you heard they were boring too.
People also previously said in previous editions, they said things such as all martials are useless compared to casters, and then they said and fighters are useless even compared to the other martials. People did definitely
say that. Is the psychic mouse the one you wanted me to get?
Yeah, Meese, the psychic mouse. The pet form, it looks more like the swarm, I think. But so I would say, yes, it was intentional somewhat to make fighter not be considered to be the loser of the edition. And the way that we did that, I mean, obviously it was not intended for people to say fighter is the most powerful class of the entire edition. You don't try to do that. But the way we did that was by making sure that fighter got something and that it just was the one that had that thing and that nobody else also had it. One of the huge mistakes of Pathfinder First Edition was not having a good archetype design guide until like near the end of the edition when I wrote an archetype design guide, because we were just having issues where people would just swap out any ability in any class for anything else. It would be like, I'll swap out Woodland Stride for like this powerful offensive ability. And it's like, maybe we shouldn't swap Woodland Stride for that. And due to that fact, many archetypes and other features allowed people to kind of steal the entire fighter class while also having most of their own class. And that was a bit of, because the weapon training, especially with some of the like advanced weapon trainings and other things like that, is pretty strong, other than the fact that like numerous other classes could just poach it and still had all of their own stuff. And it was strong only in numbers. So in Pathfinder 2, we made sure the fighter had things that only the fighter had, and we didn't just give those to other classes. I think that's what did it.
So I have Derek's favorite new Eldamon coming up. There he is. There's Meese. Do you see him?
Let's see. I need to scroll forward. Yeah, it's Meese. I haven't seen the final until now.
Oh, really?
I only saw the sketch, but it looks almost the same. It's just more colored in.
He's on a gem. Not sure why he's on the gem, but there he is.
He's on the gem because that's his gem.
I guess. Well, he's got gold. Look at him. He's all glammed out there. So
Derek says that the crit specialization effect being busted on hammers and flails and getting pulled, one of the few nerfs in the remaster, helps with fighters since they are the most likely to crit. And I would say that is true. Those critical specialization effects, as the one who wrote all of the critical specialization effects initially,
those were busted.
I wrote them initially.
Wow.
I did. I wanted weapon customization to be a big thing in Pathfinder 2 that had interesting stuff instead of just like I chose this one because it had a different name. And so I put in a lot of like weird traits and weapon critical specializations as a part of that. But also after the playtest, we had some data that said that like maybe the stun and slow and trip ones should have a saving throw. And so I came back, I was like, they probably should have a saving throw. And people, they didn't really know. People weren't sure, except I had been using one that had slow on it with no saving throw during our internal play tests. And so everyone was like, oh yeah, that just wrecked with slow. And so slow and stun need to have a saving throw. It's not great that it's a second roll that's added in, which we all agreed
so
that was
Mark
not great.
Broke the game. Good job, Mark. Good job.
I anti broke that part of it, because otherwise none of them would have had a saving throw possibly. But it was like these definitely need it.
So
I was
Mark
like, Trip
nerfed the game?
Yeah, I guess I nerfed it a little by using that powerful thing. They were like, I was like, Trip is in the same boat where you need to spend an action. It's like, well, you don't have to though. You could stay on the ground in some cases. I was like, usually you do, and it also has a defensive debuff. So we weren't sure, and then it was like, they were we all agreed they were on the borderline. And where do you cut on the borderline? That's a question that nobody knows for sure. And after getting more data, because we had to make so many decisions like that just based on playtest data and very preliminary stuff with a new system that was changing, based on much more data, I think it was clear that we should have, in fact, removed it from Trip. It was much more clear. I was tempted. I was like, I think we should remove it from the playtest data, but I wasn't sure. We all became more sure, and in the remaster, they sure did remove it. So it is a good idea.
People have any questions on Fighter or even general remaster? Now is the time. And here's the animated tokens. I can't believe we only need one more person, and so far nothing. Yeah. So
literally one person would get the moth face.
No moth face. You want moth face?
Well, Steven, if you want to stop moth face because you hate moths, you have to end the stream now.
But can you imagine the little wings going?
You're at risk of moth face animation. More and more the longer this stream goes. Even if someone not watching the stream might just back it, we're at a rate where a decent number of people back it, around 1 per hour or something like that.
Yeah, but we just need one.
So you're in trouble if you don't just end the stream you might want to have to give out moth face.
All the little moth wings going.
No, somebody did it. Moth face lives. Moth face lives.
All right, add it to the list.
It's very exciting.
Now you got to write it, Jess.
Well, no, because don't worry about it. Already writing it.
I know, but don't you have to? Is it a new heritage or is it part of the
none of the heritage already covers moths. We just didn't. We didn't have enough picture slots to do them.
Yeah.
Just like if it was birds, we did ravens, but we didn't have enough picture slots to draw every possible bird. We drew wasps or something instead of moths.
Fine, I'll add it to the list. The guy who's working on Swarms is actually working on it right now. He's doing the piranha hand guy right now.
I like the piranha hand guy.
When do you see that one, Jess? He literally has arms for cannons, and instead of cannons, they're piranhas.
That's pretty great.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like the biggest change that was made between PF1 fighter and PF2 fighter that made the fighter so much more powerful is niche protection on the fighter. Because the D&D 3rd edition fighter, and by extension the PF1 fighter, the thing that it got was just more feats, but there were very few feats that were fighter-only feats. There were feats, the fighter was restricted in what it could select for fighter feats, but it didn't have that many, it didn't open up new options that were fighter exclusive other than weapon specialization. And even weapon specialization, you just do 16 rogue 4 fighter, and you get weapon specialization, and you get that extra attack at level 20, and you get everything that you want out of fighter just by doing that 4-level dip.
So that was a huge problem in 3.0 and 3.5. Now, I would argue that other than later design messing this up somewhat, that when Jason Bowman et al. Did the update for Pathfinder 1st edition, they fixed it somewhat by making more high-level fighter-only feats, such as greater weapon focus, that at 8th level gave more accuracy, and they gave the weapon training feature that just gave more accuracy than anyone else could have, which is kind of what PF2 fighter has. That was Now there were still 3 problems with that, and there was the ability to train out feats also in the PF1 fighter that was different. Kind of what PF2 fighter has in a way. There was 3 problems with that. One of them, still, like you said, the lion's share of the features are just feats that even if you've chosen one that only you can have, that was maybe theoretically made better than the other ones, you still are choosing from a bucket other people can choose. And if an overpower feat gets made that's made even better than that, then everybody could have had that feat. And so you start becoming not the best feat for your character, but like the 7th best feat, because you have all the good ones, and it gets worse and worse unless you get more and more feats. So that's one issue. Big issue 2 is that it's basically was mugged by every other class. They're like, oh yeah, we'll just give you all the fighter feats even though you're not a fighter. Oh, you can get weapon training even though you're a war priest, a Multhuni arsenal chaplain. Like, there were jokes in Pathfinder Society Lodge that like more than the population of Multhun were chaplains in their army and then quit to join the Pathfinder Society, because you could trade almost nothing to get the weapon training feature, which was giving away its unique feature of fighter to a caster class that also had other buffs. So like that was kind of the issue. But you recognize the kernel of it, which was just getting more of a thing that everybody already has, means that you're not getting the best thing of that. You're getting whatever the best thing is they didn't take. So their best reject is what you're adding to your character. And that's not necessarily as good as getting a unique thing that nobody else could have.
Yeah.
Wow. Dead air. All right.
Well, I think we figured it out, and we didn't get to 100 likes. So as long as 9 more people don't like it, Steven's not going to have to sing.
No one knows
any Les Mis.
No singing. Oh well.
I won't have to sing any Les Mis, and that's good, because my knowledge of Les Mis is
you can look it up.
Not the greatest.
Oh, that's
but
what I
still have heard the songs enough that I could probably sing some of them.
Yeah, and as long as there are not 9 more likes on the video, I will not do my pantomime accompaniment to the musical stylings of one.
No way.
Of course I am.
She's gonna pantomime. She
said you
can't
because it's owned by WotC.
Pantomime is owned by. Oh, right. They mentioned that in the new OGL that they own Pantomime.
Right, but they that didn't go into effect, so I can't freely pantomime.
You're right. They canceled it.
Be the role for combat.
For now.
They made it up to 99, Steven.
The RGL, where the RGL is pantomime, is owned by Roll for Combat.
Yeah, but Jess owns Roll for Combat, Steven. You're just one of her guests.
I was hoisted on my own petard.
You were. Oh, we got 100,
no,
Steven.
We don't. So I only see 99.
We have 101.
Don't
Steven.
Believe you.
You have to do it.
I don't believe you.
Which one are you going to do?
I don't believe you. What's that? Oh, I thought that was a cat or something. That's not a pantomime. That's like
no, I'm pantomiming pressing the mouse button to like the video.
Pathetic.
Oh, I see. With a pantomime.
I don't know how well I can sing.
We want to do you hear the people sing?
So bad.
You did it before with Derek and me when we did Do You Hear the People Sing one time, so I know you can do it.
I can't sing. Let's sing. This will be bad.
Okay.
Do you hear the people singing the song of angry men? It is the music of the people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there's a life about to start when tomorrow comes. Dun, dun, dun. All right, that's it. That's all you got.
Will you join in our crusade? Who will be strong and stand with me? Beyond the barricade, is there a world you long to see? Then join in the fight that will give you the right to be free.
Do you hear the people singing the song of angry men? It is the music of the people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there is a life about to start when tomorrow comes. Dun, dun, dun.
Is the next one the same as the one before? Is it, will you give all you can give so that our banner may advance? Some will fall and some will live. Will you stand up and take your chance? The blood of the martyrs will water the meadows of France.
And then everyone goes.
Is that right?
Yes.
I don't know, actually. I haven't heard it.
No, that's right. You're actually doing it right. I'm kind of surprised you're like
I knew the first one, but I didn't know if the second one was that.
No, you're like a soprano. That's so
Do
weird.
you hear the people singing the song of angry men? It is the music of the people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there is a life about to start when tomorrow comes.
Dun, 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 dun. There we go. You got the
Oh,
whole
special
song.
guest. Special guest.
Steven sings like an animatronic animal. Thanks, I guess.
With a banjo? And
well,
they said they mean it in the best way. So it's like the
I'm
bear
actually trying to not
jamboree
to go. I
at
actually sing
Disney.
kind of deep, but if I go too deep, it will actually probably
Mess up the stream.
well, the filter will it'll get filtered
You
out.
get filtered if you're like, do you
Well, that happened
hear
yesterday
the
with Linda.
people sing,
Because when Linda got so
singing the
high, it actually
songs of
filtered out her.
angry men?
Yeah. Well, if you go really low. Well, my
It
son
the
is
music
baritone.
of the people who
Oh,
will
you do have a
not be
cat.
slaves again.
I do.
My dog's
It's
over
a
here
special
sleeping.
guest.
Fine, I'll go get my dog.
Okay. To go visit with the cat.
You want to see a cat?
Yeah.
There you go. That's the real 100 like incentive is the cat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See, everyone's saying kitty and cat.
How about that? Hi.
Up.
Hi.
You chased away the cat. The cat.
No, he's still here.
Oh, no, it's still
No,
there.
He's still here.
Okay.
He's still here.
Hi.
So this young man's name is Pandesmos. He is named
Ruby.
after one of the layers of pandemonium in Planescape.
This is Ruby. Ruby. You know who Ruby's named after?
Ruby.
Nope. Sixth Element. Ruby Rod. Hey, Ruby.
There you go. I did not know about the sixth element character, but I did know that Pandesmos was one of the layers of pandemonium, which just tells you that I have a weird
Hey, Ruby.
knowledge base that is probably not
Come here, young man.
typical, because I'm sure most people know sixth element more than the layers of pandemonium.
That's right.
Yeah.
Vote cat or dog.
There you go. I didn't actually wind up successfully Googling how to do a poll in YouTube, so I'm gonna look that up now. How to use YouTube polls.
I'm allergic. I do like cats, but I'm allergic, and so is my wife, so I can't have them. But we have dogs. I've had dogs my whole life. Actually,
Yeah, my roommate.
I have 2 dogs.
Oh, I see. I have to be in like the owner view to
That's
create
right.
the poll.
That's
It looks
right.
like
That's right.
I'm not in that view.
Well, if you hit analytics, you can be.
That's true. But I have to log into that because I also have my own. It's like connected to the Mark Seifter channel that has no videos on it, but that technically exists for being a Google account.
Pathetic. People like their singing. I can't believe it.
Yeah, there you go.
I still don't
We
know what
did
it
it,
means. Like I
Steven.
sing like an animatronic animal with a banjo.
But they said it was good in
Yeah,
a
but I
good
don't
way.
know what that
in
means.
a good way.
I think they mean that you sound like the like you could have had a job recording songs for Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, either Chuck E. Cheese or the Bear Jamboree at
Got
Disney
it.
World. You
Yeah,
know,
the
the Country Bear Jamboree.
Yeah.
I was trying to be level because otherwise the filter will rip it to pieces. So.
I was not trying to be level, and the filter
You
probably ripped
sounded
me to
good, Mark.
pieces.
I didn't know you were soprano though, because I'm baritone.
I think it's called tenor. When
Tenor. You
it's,
might be tenor. Okay,
when it's a guy who has a high range.
you're
But,
soprano. I'm making you soprano.
Okay. Stephen, historically, usually when someone said that, it was not a good sign for the person who they said that to.
I mean it in a nice way.
Okay.
So Ian has clarified it reminded me exactly of Disney World. So
Yeah,
yes,
see, it was the Country Bear Jamboree.
Yeah.
I figured
they're
out what
closing
Ian
that.
was talking about.
They're closing it.
I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's old. I mean, I haven't seen it. I mean, when I was a kid, I loved it. It's actually like 60 years old now. I mean, it's one of those it's like a lot of these rides and attractions you think are like, oh yeah, and then you look at them and you're like, or at least they need to be updated at the minimum. Like some of them are kind of old.
You want to close it before 100 years because according to Japanese folklore, after 100 years, and any object that is used gains a spirit, becomes a Tsukumogami potentially. And you do not want those country bear jamborees to become living Tsukumogamis that can do whatever they want. I think that would be dangerous for everyone.
A bass, bass or brass, bass. Actually, that's my son. Whatever the lowest is what my son says.
Yeah, bass and then baritone and then tenor.
Yeah, I'm bass as well. I think my daughter is tenor. I think she could do 2 octaves, maybe 3.
Then if it's your daughter, then it's probably, and she's low, then it's probably contralto. If she's high, then it could be mezzo soprano or soprano. Or if she's kind of, a lot of women are alto. Contralto is kind of one of the lower ones there. So there you go. I think Linda, who you heard her sing before, is a mezzo soprano. Usually, she can do some soprano things. When she was singing a lot, and she now has a lower range though because she's basically not sung very much in years.
Welcome to The Fighter, where we're talking about singing voices and tenor.
And whether or not the bears in Disney World will become animated and attack the guests.
Speaking of animated objects, for those of you who have not backed the Year of Monsters.
Those intelligent weapons, man. My head still hurts from writing that.
I am looking at the intelligent weapons. 10,845 words for one ancestry.
And we've done that before, but it was
11,000 words. A standard ancestry is like 3
or 4.
Yeah, 3
with Paizo.
Maybe 4 at most, but 3,000 words.
We did this before with She's, but it was a lot of flavor text and lore.
Yeah.
And it was awesome lore, and people liked it, and I'm so happy that people liked it. But this one is like rules. All so much of it is rules. It has so many rules. Every time I wrote something, I'd be like, I'm done, finally. Now let's write feats, and then I would write a feat, and I'd be like, "Oh no, that's another quarter case I need to."
A lot of rules. Well, you can. It's like you can. I'm still.
You could just be a floating weapon.
You could be a floating weapon, and
that has the most corner cases of them all.
Because it's and you could have put etch runes on yourself, which is interesting.
Because if you're a sword and you're floating around, okay, that's fine. But what if you're a bow?
Right.
Where did the arrows come from?
Right.
I need to say. And so you wind up with corner cases.
You can be like
Steven's in there now.
From the D&D cartoon. They just appear magically. I don't know.
All right. So someone in chat wants to know one reason why Fighter is the strongest class and one reason it isn't the strongest class.
Well, I mean, it's the strongest class because it gets legendary proficiency in martial weapons.
Well, it's the strongest class. It gets a lot of legendaries, and it crits very easily. And pound for pound, I think it does the most damage per second. I don't know about the higher levels, but at the lower levels, it's very consistently powerful, which is rare because usually fighters start off powerful, and then by the end they get weak. This fighter starts off powerful and seems to only get more powerful. It's like I get legendary and you don't got that. You don't get any of my legendaries. It's like, damn, man. It's like, calm down to the legendaries. They're just powerful forever. They never really calm down when it comes to the power curve. So
I agree with Jess that it's powerful because it has up to legendary proficiency. Therefore, it's more accurate.
Really good.
And therefore, it both can get, like Steven said, can take benefit of powerful critical effects.
Yeah. And
that it just generally is better for you as the player to have something that's lower risk and lower reward, where it's just which accuracy with less damage is lower risk and lower reward. It's more stable, it's consistent and reliable. But it's not the most powerful because basically almost no matter what your circumstances, if you know what the exact niche of your party is and what they're missing, in most cases, there is another class out there that's going to do better. However, it is the most powerful again, because if you don't know and you're just kind of going in randomly, you can never go wrong with the fighter because it's so reliable. Everyone's going to be happy. Even if they already had 2 fighters and you're like, I also brought a fighter, they'll probably be okay.
You know what's
like
powerful?
Maybe that wasn't the best thing, but okay, yeah, we'll take a 3rd fighter. We like fighters.
Yeah, you know what's crazy powerful? I'm curious once people start reviewing it, is the freaking elemental avatar. They're like,
it's definitely less powerful than a fighter, but it
I'm
has more.
Seeing it at higher levels.
It can do more things.
But once they charge up, because they take a little while, but like any of those classes, it's like takes a little while to charge up, and once they do, oh my god, they can just nuke things really well. They're not the fastest, but at least like the way Lauren's been playing it, it's like oof.
Yeah, she
decimating things.
Can nuke through things with fire element. The damage has been spec'd so that you are not going to be outdoing a specialist in doing spike single target damage with single target damage, or outdoing the highest specialists like psychics in Psyche using all of their actions in AoE. But you put out credible amounts compared to either of those 2 things until you were forced to refresh later on during the fight.
She did a fireball or something. I don't remember what it was, but it did like over 1,000 points of damage.
Okay,
total.
Was it over persistent damage over time? That might have been the one that
AoE. It was an AoE.
Were there like, was that the fight with 100 things in it?
No. She just critted. It was like endless crits, and each crit did like 96 points, so it was like ridiculous.
Oh, and there were like 12 enemies.
Yeah, there was a lot on there, and she just it was.
Oh yeah. Well, if you crit ridiculous. 12 times, anybody can do.
Well, she didn't crit 12 times, but there was a lot of little things, and it was like a fight that had decent. It wasn't mooks, but it was like normal and maybe some bosses, and she just like everything.
It reminds me, in 3.5, one of my players was just a very quiet guy. He usually didn't get too excited, he'd just play it. His wizardy character, due to maximize fireball on a very large swarm of enemies, of not like the swarm creature type, just there were a lot of enemies. Mm-hmm. And he did 3,000 damage with a maximized fireball against that.
Oh, well, maximized anything.
Yeah, but it wasn't that it was maximized. It was just there were a lot of things in there. Because it was it was only 60 damage, but there were 50 creatures or something like that, or 100, and some of them saved. And he was so excited that he did 3,000 damage that we were like in college. We were in the dorm on the first floor, just in the lounge playing and something like that. And he like turned his head because he saw someone he recognized to the side. He was just not even in the game at all. He was like, I just did 3,000 damage. And it's something that I now remember, like,
burned in your brain.
Yeah. Over a decade later, because of how excited he was to do that much damage. And he usually was very quiet and reserved. And it just feels good when you do all that damage against a huge number of creatures, even though anyone could do that with an AoE, theoretically.
Theoretically, you got enough mooks in there, you can do 1,000,000 damage. Jess is quiet. What's your favorite class, Jess, if you get to choose when you get to play?
I really like Druid. I probably play the most sorcerers. I also
sorcerer.
Most of my characters end up with the rogue dedication, which is in line with what I would do in like 3.5 and PF1, which was multi-class all of my characters into rogue.
Whoa.
Well, rogue is already a really good dedication. Mm-hmm. And now with the change to gang up, I think that it's even better of a dedication, because gang up is so powerful that if you don't have one and you have 2 melee characters, you definitely want one of them to take it as a 12th level feat with the archetype, because it got changed. We'll talk about it in the rogue.
I don't even know what
in
that
the rogue
does.
stream.
I have to look it up.
It's the feat that previously existed that was like, as long as you and another ally are next to the enemy, you don't need to be across from them for you to be flanking.
Yeah,
that was what it used to do. So if you want to see what it does now, come on Tuesday and we will talk about what it does now.
Well, in my game, this is the weirdest thing. So in that game I told you where we have the rogue and the monk, we have the monk who took rogue dedication, and then we have the rogue who took monk, that not dedication, but archetype, or cross type, whatever. And
well, now that's just going to be pretty much any rogue.
well, the point is like
now that
their
thief rogues
builds
can use unarmed attacks with their things.
Almost identical, which is really weird, even though they're different classes. I'm like, how do you guys have? I mean, obviously the base attack is different, but all their other support feats.
Mm-hmm.
And every time we level up and we go through it, we're like, "What's your support feat?" He's like, "I took this, this, and this," and it's like, "Chris, the monk, what's your support feats?" He's like, "He copied me. I took the exact same one." I'm like, dude, how is it you guys, are you talking to each other? It's like they're almost identical, but they're not the same class. It's really weird. So
that is weird.
It is.
I'm sure someone's watching this as like, Mark just said all the thief rogues will take monk archetype, but that's not technically true. Some of them might take martial artist for the same reason, because it has the same feats in it.
Yes.
And I will say, you are technically correct.
Yes.
And as the bureaucrats say in Futurama, the best kind of correct.
And Futurama is just renewed for 2 more years on Hulu.
Yeah, I saw the Hulu version of it that came out recently, and it was all right. It wasn't as good as the original, but it had some good moments that were really funny.
They did some pretty funny things, because they had a thing that was a throwaway gag, and they said, "Oh, we'll come back in 20 years." And that was literally 20 years ago, and then they came back, and I was like, okay, I gotta give respect to that. Like, that's pretty funny when they do that. Or when Twin Peaks did that. That was the best thing, Twin Peaks: The Return. They said they'd come back to Twin Peaks in 25 years, and then 25 years later, they did 18 episodes of Twin Peaks, so there you go. So I give mad respect to anyone who, like, follows up on that. It was okay. Not bad. Jess doesn't watch Futurama, I'm sure.
I haven't watched the new material that was created.
Okay. It's okay. As I said, it's not bad. It's new. I mean, it's always nice to see something new. So, in your favorite world.
I think we made it through what we're going to get on Fighter. What do you think, Steven?
Yeah, sure. I got a meeting after this, so I got stuff.
Well, I've got some Year of Legends stuff to look at too, and Eldamon things.
Eventually.
And RPG Superstar judging, like finalist stuff and things like that. So
one thing is, I'm supposed to do something with Baron DeRop tomorrow.
Oh yeah, you mentioned you might do that over the weekend.
Well, I am, but he chose a bad time, so I'm still working it out with him. So sometime tomorrow, where he is going to do a live review of Year of Monsters. He's never seen it.
Right, it's just a completely sight unseen. He just gonna suddenly pull it open and look at it. That sounds hilarious.
Well, it's also the 5e version. I mean, he has Pathfinder, but he's a 5e player. So.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
He thought we were nuts, because when he's like, "Oh, this won't take long," I'm like, "Have you seen our feats? Have you seen our?" I mean, have you seen our races?
"Oh, I've agreed to do just all I'm doing is 12 races for 5e. That can't take very long at all."
Well, then I sent it to him, and he was like, "Oh my god, this is way too big."
He was like, "What have I agreed to do? This is like signing a devil's contract in advance."
I warned him. I was like, "Dude,
5e race is usually like." 2 pages, even counting some of the extra lore stuff, and most of that is just like
this is
very very light material, and
like
then
150 pages or something. I don't even know.
Yeah, he probably thought 12 was going to be 24 pages or something that.
Well, there you go.
All right.
Well, it looks like we answered all your questions, which was very few. Well,
there weren't that many changes on Fighter. It was around the same as Bard.
Which no one had questions on. So, well, once again, we have to thank Jess for allowing us to be on her stream.
Of course.
Of course.
Come back anytime, Stephen.
Thank you. I feel honored to be on the Jessica Redekop Redekop's Roll for Combat.
That's right.
It just rolls off your tongue.
That's right. It's such a catchy name.
It is. I kind of like it. I might have to change it. I'll take care of that next time. Actually, look, if you look at your name, see it's right above the logo there. Jessica Redekop, Roll for Combat. If I just put a little apostrophe there, it could be yours. All yours. All right. Well, otherwise, come back on Monday. What's the schedule? Let's see. Whoop. Ranger, but Derek maybe, or Derek probably.
We'll see.
We'll see. Oh, Redekop for combat. Set a roll for combat.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
or if you're talking about like combat, if I think about combat, I think about that there could be like blood, and if I was a red cap, that I could dip my cap in the blood. So I'm sure there's something we can do with Redekop and red cap to do a roll for combat combination.
That sounds weird. You're weird, Mark. All right. Thanks, everyone. See you next week and maybe tomorrow. Bye.